Come back with another tutorial today. This one is for anyone who is either got a small business where you order from suppliers and you want to keep track of what is in your inventory, the list of products that you've ordered, and when you want to reorder again, and just to track your stock. And also anyone who's got a job that does this, you're employed by someone and you want to find other ways of tracking down the inventory, this one is for you. So what we're going to be looking at is how to add a company banner on your spreadsheet. So this is a spreadsheet, and how to format the banner, how to add inventory data, and how to use Excel functions in this spreadsheet to filter the data so that you can look at only one set of data at a time, or you want to use data validation also to help you with looking at one filter a certain type of data at a time. They work differently, but you'll see as we go along. And then also how you can use conditional formatting so that it highlights on your one cell on your inventory list, so that you know if you've got a specific number of orders that you don't want to go below. So for example, if it gets to, let's say, 28, 29, you want the cell to highlight so that you can make another order. Then we're going to look at that. And also using the time function, which is on another tutorial, but I'm just going to add a section on there because you can use that to find out when you can reorder after a number of days. Let's say after 14 days, you want your spreadsheet to highlight that you should reorder. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to drag. So let's start. The first thing that I'm going to do is to drag this down so that I can add the banner, just to make the cells bigger. Remember, the cell is an intersection between a column, as explained in my other tutorial, and a row. So I'm going to select insert and then text box. That will help me create the banner. And I'm going to format the text box to add some color into it. So I'll right click and select format shape and select fill. I'm going to use gradient fill so that it adds two colors. It's pre-populated green because green was the color that I was using before when I created a spreadsheet. But if you want a different color, you can just go on there and select a different color that you want. So I'm just going to, I've put the cursor inside the text box so that I can add the business name. So I'm going to add the business name. And I'm going to highlight this. Go up to the font size. This shows the font size, and increase it to 24 or increase it to 20, depending how you want it, so that it fits into the banner nicely. So what I've done is I've just put the cursor at the beginning of the words and then selecting the space bar so that I can drag it to the right. And it's more centralized. You don't have to do this, you can leave it at the end. So that is more centralized, and it's also on the lighter part of the banner. So that's the banner created. I'm going to move into adding the list of inventory now. Actually, I'm just going to drag this further so that it looks nicer. So the first column I'm going to add is the inventory ID. If you're ordering from places from China, for example, you are most likely going to have an ID for your product. So you can use that. Or if you're selling them on through different platforms, you would want to have an inventory ID. Even if it's in a shop, for example, you would want to have an inventory ID so that it helps you to track down your stock. The next column is going to be the name of the product. and then we're going to add a visual of the product. In the visual, I'm going to add a picture of the product, because this helps. For me, when I was creating a similar spreadsheet, I found that sometimes things like laptop stands, for example, might make sense that at the time that I'm adding them, but after coming back to the spreadsheet after 1 week, I would not remember which variation of it was. So having a visual definitely helps. And then department. Department would be things like if the product you're selling is in a beauty department or tech department or fashion department, for example. So if you come back to the spreadsheet and you just want to filter just to look at all products in one department, you are going to filter them using this column. So that's why I've added it in there. And then the description of the product. I think this is self-explanatory, because you would want to describe what the product is, things like the color, things like the shape, things like that. And then the unit price, so how much you're selling per product. The quantity ordered, and then expected sales, and then reorder level. So on the reorder level tab, assuming, for example, that you've ordered 50 products and you want this cell to highlight once you get to 29, for example, so that you should think about reordering. When you're changing the orders, every time you check at the end of the week, for example, you check how many you've got left. Let's say you've got 45. Once you get to 29, it will highlight so that you can know when to think about reordering, or if someone else will look at the spreadsheet, will see that this is a list of products that needs reordering. And then reorder time, in days. This is something that you would need to use an Excel formula about. I've already done a tutorial on a similar formula. So instead of days, I use time of an hour in there. But you can use the same formula to just switching up using days instead of the time. So I'm not going to explain this formula in here because it's already explained somewhere else. So then we'll move into entering the inventory data. As an example, I'll just add inventory number 00765. So this one, as you've noticed that the zeros have disappeared. If you want the zeros to remain, what you do is you right click and then you select format cells, select custom, and you select number. I just added 5 zeros, for example, and you can see that the zeros are back in there. And then you add the name. For the purposes of this, I'm going to use a laptop. And then the visual, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it down to create more space for the picture. It will come in bigger, as you will notice that it will come in bigger, so we just need to resize it. So I'll show you how to resize that as well. So you select insert and then select picture, and then picture from a file, and there's a picture of a laptop. So what you do to resize, you just select the corners here and drag them so that you can resize it. You want to resize it to a size where you are able to tell what product you're looking at. Okay, so if you want the picture to change size based on the size of the cell, as you change the cell size, what you can do is to select the picture and then format, and then go to properties and then select that move and size with cells. So that should help you do that. And then we'll move to department. The department is tech in this example, and then we'll move to description, and then unit price. Let's say, for example, this is a cheap MacBook. For the purposes of this, we're selling it for 100. And quantity ordered, we ordered 50 of them. Expected sales is going to be this. Where is this times button? And this cell. Reorder level, I'm going to write 29. So as I said earlier, that you can highlight this so that it shows when the numbers are below 29. So what you do is you select the cell and you select conditional formatting and you select highlight cells, and then you select if it's less than and select 29. So for example, you can drag this down actually. So for example, if it gets to 28, as you can see, it's highlighted in pink, showing that it needs to be, because when you selected conditional formatting, actually that's another thing that I should explain. Here you can select the color that you want it to highlight. So if it was green, this would highlight green. If it was black, that would highlight black. Okay, so I hope this tutorial was helpful. I'm going to come back with another tutorial soon. Thank you.